Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Community Voice here on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. I'm your host today, Sara Claudia Cain, and I'm so excited for today's interview. Our guest today, Alaina Windom, she is going to be doing some big things. I'm blessed to have her in the studio with us. She's a junior at Carrollton High School, and she's going to share with us today about her journey with anorexia and how she's using it to spread awareness and to help others. Alaina, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself to our listeners a little bit, tell them about who you are.
Well, as you said, I am Alaina Windom, a junior at Carrollton High School. I have struggled with anorexia for 4 years now, but I've been through treatment and I'm well into recovery, doing wonderfully, and my goal today is to be able to bring awareness around our community and help all those around here that are struggling.
Yeah, and this girl, she's got some big plans, big things in store, and I know, speaking on behalf of our listeners, we feel so honored to be a part of it and to help you and watch you grow and blossom in this new journey. So tell us a little bit about kind of when and how your struggle with anorexia began.
Yeah, so it all began my 7th grade year. I began feeling, just very unworthy and not enough, shaming my body and wanting to find something that made me successful. And so I began, diving into sports and restriction eating, quote unquote, clean eating, if you will. And I decided to do all that so I could be really good at sports and just be this amazing athlete. Well, soon that turned it into a lot of compulsive behaviors with that. And so going into my 8th grade year, I started restricting even more. It was no longer just clean eating. At this point, I was, becoming malnourished. Then freshman year rolls around and it became less about the sports and more about how I looked. So my freshman year, my sister, Olivia Windom, she left for college, and we were very close. And that hit me with a lot of depression. Starting high school is already hard enough. Losing your sister or your best friend is very hard. And I was struggling with this eating disorder at the time as well. So through that, I had a rough freshman year. Mom took me to therapists, but none of them specializing in eating disorders. Nobody really knew that I was struggling with food until sophomore year. And then I was, at school in weightlifting, and I hadn't eaten, and I had passed out. And my coach ran up to me and was like, "What's going on? Like, obviously something more is happening if, you're literally blacking out." So they had to call my parents, and they were out of town. But Mom and Dad both knew that as soon as they got back, they needed to do something more about my restricting because they knew something had to be up. So after that, when they got back, they started pushing me a lot to, eat meals with them and all these kinds of things. And I'd, figure out different ways to get out of it because I didn't want to get better. Ultimately, in situations where people are struggling with anorexia specifically, but eating disorders over general as well, your mind kind of alters into almost becoming your eating disorder because you think you're nothing without it. You think you're worthless. You think you're not enough. And so I didn't want to give it up because I really thought I was not going to be, I thought I was going to be worthless. So over the course of about a year, kind of a few months, starting in November, I started getting sick a lot. And in and out of hospitals, them not knowing what was up because I, didn't have the flu, didn't have COVID. They didn't really know what was going on. But when Mom looked up the blood work, she realized that most everything was due to malnutrition. So she knew it was a lot more serious than what we had originally thought. So she decided to take me to a eating disorder specialist therapist. And we went there. I had no idea where we were going when we went, but we got there and she told my mom that I needed a higher level of care immediately. So basically what that means is I would get sent away, right? And obviously I had some pushback with that, especially since the closest higher level of care near us is 2 hours away. So I was going to have to go 2 hours away for at least, 2 months. And I was terrified. I had visitation every 3 days a week, and I would have phone calls for 1 hour when I didn't. It was really, really tough, and honestly, it was pretty harsh, getting sent away from your family and everyone you know. But at the end of the day, I will say it was the best thing that has ever happened to me.
Yeah, and we'll get more into that later because I know a lot of people are interested to hear how that whole process went in treatment. But I want to just thank you for being so open and honest about your journey so far, because what I'm hearing is, it's a slippery slope. It's not like you wake up one day and you're like, oh, I'm gonna develop an eating disorder today. It's something that happens without you really even realizing it.
Absolutely. It starts with being a part of this diet culture of, clean eating or eating quote unquote healthy and cutting out carbs and stuff like that, when in reality, diet culture is such a joke. Like, being in treatment and learning from, certified dietitians and all these things about the things that you truly need to nourish your body, it blows my mind of the things that everyone believes just due to our culture. And then, so that's, I feel like where everything like this begins is our culture brings in, oh, well, you don't need to eat this. This is, bad or not good for you. And that's just not the case.
Yeah. And that's something that every age group, I think, struggles with. So I'm sure you've learned so much that you can share. And I'm excited to hear more after this short break to hear from our sponsors, Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy. Stay
The World Language Scholar Journey at Oak Mountain Academy is designed to provide students with a clearly defined, curriculum-based track to acquire essential knowledge and skills for success in biliteracy fields of study. The successful completion of this journey provides colleges with a method to recognize a rigorous foreign language immersion experience for all students at Oak Mountain Academy. I'm Patrick Duran, head of school, inviting you to journey with us on the mountain. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the WLBB News Talk 1330 FM 106.3 Community Voice program. I'm your host today, Sara Claudia Cain, here with our guest, Alaina Windom, who is sharing about her journey with anorexia. So in the last segment, you were telling us about how kind of your eating disorder began and how it progressed, and you talked about how you were sent away. And there was some pushback there, as you said. I mean, that had to have been scary. But when did you realize that you really needed help, that this was going to be the best path for you?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It actually took me a while. Actually in treatment is where I realized that I should probably, fall into this path that everybody's telling me to go down. So it pretty much, I got sent away, and then at the beginning of January of this year, and I didn't really buy into it. The first week I was like, oh, I'm totally fine. And they just didn't ever let up on me, which, I'm so thankful for. But then, the next week goes by and nothing's really changing. And, if you don't complete meals and snacks, you have to take supplement. And if you refuse to supplement, then you go to the hospital. And it's just this never-ending cycle of, I'm going to be here forever if I don't buy into this. And so I decided that I was going to be open-minded to being open-minded. I wasn't quite there to completely buy into it yet. But I decided that, maybe I can think about being okay with this. And so that's what I did. And so I started, listening in groups and participating. And I'm just so thankful that I did, because I'm here now on the show with you. And I'm so thankful for that. Yeah. So once I started kind of having that mindset of, oh, I'm going to be open-minded to being open-minded, it just spiraled, and I was like, oh, this is kind of actually working. So I am open-minded, because I didn't believe in everything yet. But, soon, a week or two later, I was all in. And from that moment forward, it was, recovery all the way. Obviously, recovery is not linear for anyone, and it doesn't look the same for everybody. So there's always ups and downs to this day, and will be forever. But I think I'm on, the overall uphill, even though there may be some valleys in the way.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. And I love that. I think we all need to be more open-minded about being open-minded. That's such a great way to put it, because I think a lot of times, mental health is such a stigmatized thing in our society, but it sounds like that's a lot of the struggles that go with an eating disorder too. It's all very psychological, and you've got to kind of change your mindset. Would you say that was the biggest part of your healing, was just kind of making that mindset switch, and then you were able to kind of learn about what was healthy and learn about what you were doing that wasn't healthy?
Absolutely. Mental health is stigmatized, but I would say eating disorders and specifically get, classified as this physical issue, when in reality, it's 100% mental. And there is that body factor of this, you're malnourished and it's not good for you, and it shows up on blood work and whatever else. But at the end of the day, it really is 100% mental, because you can't, have an IV or take some medicine and feel better.
Yeah.
That's just not how it is. It really is a mental disorder.
Yeah. And it sounds like your parents learned that too. Like, you can't just put a plate of food in front of somebody struggling with that and say, eat more, and it's fixed. Like, you got to change that mindset, and they need further treatment.
Absolutely. And I will say, obviously, I don't know. I'm not my parents, but I do think that was a struggle that we had, and I feel like most families with kids who struggle have. But after, being put in treatment, they were open-minded the whole time. And I'm so thankful that they were, because I definitely know some people who don't have parents as great as mine.
Yes.
So I'm just so appreciative that they were willing to learn and help me in any way that they thought I needed.
Yes, I know your parents, and I know a lot of people listening know your parents and would say the exact same thing. They have been, sounds like, just rocks of support for you.
Absolutely. It was 2 hours away, and I was blessed to have parents. Every time they could come and visit me, they would. I would trade out my visitation days every once in a while for Danielle or Olivia, one of my sisters, to come down. And that was always amazing. Super thankful for their support as well. But yes, my family has been such a foundation for me and my recovery.
Yeah. And I imagine sending their teenage daughter away was no easy task for them either. So definitely thankful for their courage and their bravery as well. And it sounds like, you had a wonderful support system with your family. What would you say would be some other big sources of support that you're thankful for?
Support-wise, I would definitely say, my treatment team. That may be cliche, I'm not sure, but honestly, without my treatment team, we wouldn't be here. Like, they come up with these plans to heal me in my recovery and meet me where I'm at, no matter where I'm at, and teach me all these coping skills from my therapist, and my dietitian teaches me, like, how to build all these yummy, nutritious meals, and it's just so much fun, and I'm so thankful to have them, because honestly, I've learned to love it so much. And, like, I have a session with my dietitian today, and I'm just so looking forward to it, because I just love being able to build these meals and learn more about myself and what I can do to help everybody else.
Yeah, and I love what you're sharing kind of about the treatment process, because I'm sure a lot of what was scary for you was the unknown of it. And for anybody listening who might, need treatment, what else would you mind sharing just to make that whole process a little more known, a little less scary for them?
Yeah, so definitely it is a little nerve-wracking when you're walking in this place that you've never seen before. You're 2 hours away from your family, and you don't know what's going to happen other than, your eating disorder is going to go away, and you're scared that you're going to be worth nothing anymore. Mm-hmm. So it really is, the treatment team is there for you, period, end of story. They truly do what is best for you and your life, and they're always going to meet you where you're at, so you don't have to worry about, maybe you don't have to think, I'm not sick enough. Like, that doesn't exist. If you're struggling, you're sick enough. Like, there's no such thing. And so that is really cool that they're like that. And there's such great friendships that come with, I was in a house with these 6 other girls, and OMG, we had such a bond, and everyone's struggling in the same way you're struggling, and you just have this small community with you that is with you all the time, and you just feel so supported and so understood.
That's wonderful to hear, because I know a lot of people struggling, they're quiet about it and they think they're the only ones. So hearing that there is hope, there's a place you can go that you can not only get better, but also make friendships, and it sounds like have a lot of fun, is very hopeful, I'm sure, for a lot of people listening. We're going to take one more break to hear from our sponsors, Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy, and we will be back to hear what's next for Alaina.
The Entrepreneur Scholar Journey at Oak Mountain Academy is designed to provide students with a clearly defined curriculum-based track to acquire essential knowledge and skills for success in business and leadership. Critical areas include identifying entrepreneurial characteristics, selecting a value position, and business model development. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to journey with us on the mountain. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
Good morning and welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice program on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. I am Sara Claudia Cain here with our guest Alaina Windom, who's sharing about her journey with anorexia and how she is using it to help others. So you've talked a little bit about what you've learned. It sounds like you've learned a lot through your eating disorder, but tell us a little bit more about what you've learned and how you're using it to help others.
Yeah, so I have big plans for our community. Not too long ago, on September 30th, I hosted a National Eating Disorder Awareness Walk. And, I was able to speak and tell my story. My mom was able to speak, as well as Gracie Warren, a senior at Central High School, who has struggled with anorexia as I have. So that was super, super amazing, and I'm really hoping it to be an annual thing, because I will say our community really stepped up, and we were able to be the #1 DIY needle walk in the country.
Wow.
So super excited that went well, and I'm super excited for what the future entails. I have actually started a page on Instagram called Mental Table Talks, where I'm posting, inspirational things for recovery and mental health overall, what to do when feeling insecure, and just super supportive things to help people get through the tough times and know that they're not alone.
I love that. That's so needed in not only Carrollton, but societies and towns all over the place. Tell us a little bit more about Instagram and how we can kind of get connected and follow along.
Yeah, so you can simply look up Mental Table Talks on Instagram, press follow. Feel free to always message me. I will be more than happy to talk and become another one of your supportive people in your life if you need one. And also, I think that the walks will hopefully be an annual thing to bring more people in and more people aware, because my ultimate goal is to bring so much awareness around here that the next person who's struggling like me doesn't have to wait 3 years and go 2 hours away to get the support that they need.
Yeah, I love that. And, for anybody listening who may be quietly struggling or openly struggling, what advice or guidance would you give to them?
I would say, have trust in your support system and be open and honest. It's something that nobody really feels comfortable being honest about. But at the end of the day, it's totally going to be worth it, because your eating disorder has had you in a chokehold for so long. And when you get the help that you need, you'll finally get your life back.
Yes. And what about for any parents or maybe friends of somebody who's struggling? What advice would you give to them just to be that rock of support that sounds like you've had?
I would say it definitely takes a lot of patience. I'm sure my parents so many times wanted just to put a fork in my mouth and say swallow, but I'm really glad that they had so much patience with me to be able to get the support that I truly needed. And for a friend, same thing, have patience. I lost so many friends due to my eating disorder, because I really became this different person. And so I would really say patience is the biggest thing, and just always be there for people. You really never know what's going on. And that is a cliche, but it's very, very true.
It is true. And I've learned that, in my own journey with blindness, you can look at somebody and, people look at me and have no idea I have a disability. So you can look at somebody and have no idea what they may be outwardly or inwardly struggling with. So just giving that kindness. And I'm sure you also experienced people just not knowing what to say to you. And what would you say to those people? Do they always have to have the right words, or is it okay sometimes just to be there?
I've definitely experienced that, and I'm at a place now in my recovery where I understand how to go about those kinds of situations. But I will say, early in recovery, it can be kind of triggering almost to some of the responses that I've had over the course of almost a year. But, knowing that you're there for support, like knowing that you have support is so big. So for honestly those people, the perfect words don't exist. Nobody knows just the magical words to make someone heal. Everybody's different. And so I would honestly just say be there and let them know that, Yeah,
you don't always have to have the most eloquent words to say. Just be there. Don't shy away. Just give that sense of support. And for anybody maybe wanting to be involved with the walk next year, how would they follow along?
again, you can just follow my socials, and I'll definitely be posting about it when it's coming up. Yeah, and then there'll be flyers around town and all that kind of stuff like there was this year.
Perfect. Well, Alaina, thank you so much. And we have a few minutes left. Is there anything else you would like to share? Any other words of wisdom? You are a girl that is so full of words that I know are encouraging our listeners.
Yeah. Again, I would truly say, if you or a loved one is struggling with any type of eating disorder and or a mental illness, I would say, get out and talk about it to your loved ones and really just have those hard conversations, because they're so important to have, and figure out what the best type of treatment is, whether that's any treatment at all or just showing support or, a higher level of care that they may need. Really just making sure that these people struggling have a good treatment team and a support system to hold them up and get them through the tough times.
Yeah. And having that patience, like you said, patience with yourself, patience with that support system too, because they're struggling. They're struggling. Watching you struggle, watching you go through it, having to make tough decisions sometimes for you on your behalf, I'm sure is very, very difficult.
I'm sure my parents, what a saint, like I could not imagine, especially with me giving pushback too. I'm sure that was so difficult. But on the giving patience with yourself thing, I think it's very important, especially when you're struggling, and this goes out for anybody in any kind of struggles. You definitely want to give yourself grace. Nobody is perfect. Nobody does not struggle. You know, everybody has their struggles, whether that's an eating disorder or a bad day. Everybody struggles, and it's so important to give yourself patience and grace and room to mess up.
Yeah, like you said earlier, you're going to have the good days, you're going to have the bad days. Just because, you or anybody listening, you've gone through treatment, you've gotten help, it's not a one-step process. It's going to be a journey of ups and downs, and having that patience, having that grace, having that support system sounds like are all keys to continued success. And this girl right here, she is going to be doing some wonderful things in our community. She already is, Miss Alaina Windom. So everybody go follow her on Instagram. Remind us again of that Instagram handle.
Mental Table Talks.
Yes. And no matter what you're struggling with, I think that's going to be a wonderful resource. And stay tuned to her for what all she's going to be doing in the community. Thank you, Alaina, so much for being with us today, for having the courage to share your story. I know it's not an easy thing, like we talked about before. God really works through these journeys and gives us gifts that we never even knew we had. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I've had a blast.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for listening. See you next time here on Community Voice.